Hello everyone, we are here with the pack. We're just heading out for our first hike of the day, and I just wanted to go over some things. So as you can see, some dogs are on leash. Those dogs are still learning, and or we haven't seen them, like Poppy here, the corgi. We haven't seen her in probably 6 months, and she's just boarding with us, but she used to be a pack member. Rizzo, the dog there with the long lines on, she's just carrying those. She's a dog that has quite a bit of energy, and so just to kind of give different dogs a job that do have excess energy, we'll have them drag long lines. But while we're hiking, you know, they can stop, they can do their business, go number one, go number two, go number one within reason. Like if a dog is just trying to mark everything, we'll probably interject, put them on leash, have them work a bit, and we'll do that kind of rotation until they kind of get the idea that they can relieve themselves if they need to, but not necessarily mark their territory per se. And if dogs want to go slow, they can definitely go slow. If they kind of want to drag a little bit, Ponyo back there in the back, he moves a little slower as he's gotten older in age, and he is kind of nursing a little bit of a limp. Biscuit, he's kind of hit or miss. He's the other dog back there. He can be sometimes in the middle of the pack, sometimes at the back of the pack, but we always take note of those kind of adjustments or shifts that the dogs do make. We're aware if they're in the back, because maybe that will signal that something's up with them, because if they're normally in the front of the pack, that says something to us. But we always keep our eyes on the dogs in regards to being able to see them. So like Minka is back there, for example, she was just around the corner. So we'll slow down and make sure that she kind of rounds that corner. Little things like that. But as we walk along, as we hike along, they can smell, they can stop to smell. That's totally fine. Some dogs do roll, so we kind of keep an eye on those dogs in particular, just to thwart any attempt to like roll in duck poop or coyote poop or a dead worm or something like that, which surprisingly smell really bad. And then notice that the dogs don't walk in front of us, and that's not necessarily like an alpha thing. We're not in that kind of camp. The purpose of having the dogs walk behind us is that if we were to encounter something like we do, a deer, coyote, or whatnot, they have to break that threshold, and we'll have more of an opportunity to teach them and guide them out of that reaction to that particular stimuli, as opposed to them being in front of us, in which case we may not have that ability. But we do practice both. So they'll be hiking behind us like this, and then they'll be in front of us during free play, and we'll recall them just to ensure that if they are in front of us and they are doing free play and something runs out, like a squirrel or raccoon or something, that we can still recall them. And again, we build them out in sequence, on leash, then on long line attached to us, and then dragging a long line, etc., just to ensure safety. But they walk nicely with us, and then when we stop, they stop. They don't kind of push forward on us. Again, something that we build in on leash, so then when they're off leash, it's just there. But we move through our day, we ebb and flow between work and play. This would be considered kind of work mode. They're behind us, just kind of enjoying the scenery. And if dogs need to be worked with, that they're new, let's say, or adolescent, like Beckett here, then we'll work them in different steps in the gentle method. Or maybe a dog comes in a little different or a little off from the weekend. Maybe something happened, maybe they got into it with another dog at the dog park, or maybe they just didn't get let out at all over the weekend. Then we can go ahead and get them nice and centered through the gentle method, as Cole's doing here with Beckett. But we ebb and flow between this work mode and then play mode, where we say, we give them a cue to kind of release them, and then they're able to run around and play if they want. Or maybe it's a dog that's really focused during work time, and so they're not stopping to smell things. That's just kind of what their MO is during work mode or work time. And then when we release the dogs, they then go ahead and start smelling different things and kind of meander around a bit, or maybe they'll roll in the grass or whatnot. So, but lots of structure, but also lots of freedom when the dogs show that they can handle it and they're still present and able to respond to any cues that we may put in their direction. So another thing to note is that when we're in kind of work mode, we're very aware of how the dogs are moving, making sure that they're not pushing on us to get in front of us. We're aware of their tails, how sharp their movements are. All of these things will give us an idea of like where the dog's psychology is at. So we're also aware of their ears. Are their ears kind of perked up and forward all the time? Or are they kind of nice and back, like Juniper, her ears, or Sunny's ear, or Sage's ears, Norman's ears, Louis' ears, until I say his name, Louis. But we're aware of the ears. And the tails, their gait, just their overall movement. Now, Hamilton here, for example, he's about a year old now, really likes to go hard. And so if you look at him, and he's also fairly new to the pack, but if you look at him, his ears will go forward and then they'll go back into that kind of more work mode. It's very slight, but that's something that we have worked on over the course of his time with us, is ensuring that he kind of stays a little bit more in work mode. And what I mean by work mode for us is that, again, they're more neutral. They're not forward, and they're also not, their ears aren't pinned backwards kind of in fear, but they're just more relaxed. So from this state, I mean, if you look at kind of all of them, Stitch's ears, Roxy's ears, Annie's ears, Grady's ears, if you hike in this way, then you're really going to be told quite a bit as you're moving through an environment. Just by the cues that the dog's body language gives you. And as you just herd. Sometimes if the dogs kind of trail back, or in this case, Della, she just laid down in the shade. It's a little hot today, or it's going to be pretty hot. And so if they end up kind of trailing back a little bit farther than we would prefer, we'll just go ahead and recall them and bring them back to the group. But for the most part, this is what work mode looks like. And this is what hiking looks like. And it's generally pretty quiet. We don't have to ask them to leave the beach or to go this direction or that direction back. Or we'll ask them to go back if the dog is kind of meandering across that line that we have. Again, another skill we build on leash. But generally speaking, our day is very quiet unless we're working with the dog and building in back or leave it or some skill like that. And then we're a little more vocal. But just like to have it be pretty quiet. So I hope that's helpful. I hope that's insightful. Thank you.